Welcome back to the Journeys in Business series. I'm Jess, owner of Jess Creatives, and in this series, I'm sitting down with entrepreneurs to hear about their journeys in business and lessons they have learned. Hey Jenna, thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be part of this podcast.
Yeah, so to kick us off, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about what you do?
Okay, so I'm Jenna Redfield. I live in Minneapolis and I run my business. It's called Jenna Redfield Designs. We do mostly product and stock photography. I also do a lot of video on the side as well. So that's a lot of my business and I kind of focus on that. I also have my own YouTube channel just like you do, and I do a lot of videos on there as well and have obviously my own blog too.
Yeah, and you have your own podcast.
True. I do run a local business. So if you are listening and you are in the Twin Cities area, you should definitely join us. It's called the Twin Cities Collective, and it's for local businesses and bloggers. And we have podcasts, Instagram, Facebook group. It's just a really great community for local people.
I love that. And I think it's cool because a lot of entrepreneurs are like online friends, which is great, but I don't see a ton of people who are like really focusing on the local, like there's some, like Rising Tide has like Tuesdays together and that's cool and stuff, but there's not, this Twin Cities Collective. Like I can't think of another city that has like their own group, their own community and Instagram and all that kind of stuff that's not associated. I'm assuming it's like not.
No, it's not associated to anything.
Yeah.
I actually took over the group from another girl. She started it. So it used to be called Twin Cities Bloggers, and it was just for bloggers. And it was very limiting for the number of bloggers in the area. There's maybe a couple hundred.
Yeah.
So I opened it up to the entire creative and online business community. So there's a lot of small business owners. There's a lot of people that do all types of things, even if they don't have their own business and they just like to be on Instagram, then they're part of the community. So I just wanted to expand it.
Nice.
And so so yesterday it was a big day because we hit 1,000 in the group and 5,000 on Instagram. So it was very
yay. That's awesome. Yeah, that's super cool. And I think it's cool that you saw hey, it worked as bloggers for a little while, but we're excluding all these people. You went from that couple hundred to now 1,000 in the group. So that was a huge gap that you filled. So that's super cool that you are doing all that and really diving into the local community. Cause online business friends are cool and I love them, but
you never meet them maybe.
Yeah. It's very rare that I'm actually, I've met a few, but I'm not, if I was to try and meet all of my really good, close online business friends, I would rack up a lot of sky miles, but, it's hard to, especially because, we live all over the country or the world. I have friends overseas. So it's cool to meet those local people and hey, actual people that I can see in face to face, not just on a screen.
Yeah, I actually put out how sometimes in Facebook groups they talk about a virtual coffee chat?
Yes.
We actually put out a physical coffee chat. So where do you live? You can actually meet with people if you're interested in meeting them. And we also have mastermind groups within the community. So the Twin Cities area is actually pretty large. To drive from one end to the other, it would take probably an hour.
Yeah.
Because it's just the huge circumference of the suburbs. And so I'm sure it's the same in Atlanta.
Yep, it is.
And my cousins live in Atlanta, so I know that. But so what I did was we actually have 9 separate masterminds for different general areas, the northern suburbs and I run the western suburbs. And so then I had to recruit 9 different people who would lead these different small groups, just so that, because a lot of people when they go to networking events, they're overwhelmed by the number of people.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, well, you live 45 to an hour away from me. I'm probably never going to see you. So they both decide to meet in the middle. So I wanted to have people that lived close to them. So then they also would actually show up.
Yes.
As well. So that's kind of why I decided to do that. Because a lot of people wanted that smaller group community and the mastermind just seemed perfect for that.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I totally get the distance thing. There, a few months ago, there was a girl who saw that I was from Atlanta and she's like, oh, me too. And we should get up and have a physical coffee date. And I was like, great. So then we went to direct message and she lives in Atlanta and I live 45 minutes outside. And she was like, oh, how is this place? And I was like, I don't think you know the area. Like, I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
like I know she knows Atlanta, but I was like, I don't think she knew where my town was
Okay.
because it was literally like 10 to 15 minutes from her and still like 40 from me.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, or we could do this place, and like looked because I know like where she was and where I am, and I found like a halfway place, and she's like, oh, yeah, maybe. Well, next week's really busy, so let me get back in touch with you, and then never did. And I was like, really, you're not willing to drive like 20 more minutes to meet me halfway? I was like, so I totally get the suburbs and like actually wanting to find people that are near you, you know, like not that I'm obviously because I was going to drive like half an hour to see her, but so it's not that I am never going to drive to see people because I definitely do, but it's a little easier when you can find people who, because I mean, do you know if any of your members like get it together on their own outside of the masterminds, like the ones that
I mean, I think I encourage it, and we have daily threads that just
nice
collaboration. So I know a lot of people. I know one person used a trade and they traded headshots for
that's cool
or something.
Yeah,
there's a lot of web designers in there, a lot of people that can have services that they can trade. A lot of them,
which is really nice when that works out.
Well, we also have a website where I have a blog directory. So we have a list of all the people that have blogs and all the businesses. And so then if you're looking for like a mom blogger and you have a product that you want to do some sort of collaboration with, you can go to the directory and find those bloggers, and it's listed and has their website links. So I wanted to make it easy because when I first started blogging and when I first started joining this online community locally, I had no place to turn to find out about events, to find out about who else was in the community. And that's really what I wanted to create with this.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm making any money doing it. It's more of just a fun thing for me.
Yeah.
And I get to make new friends. And hopefully I've had people help me on my website because they're like, oh, I really like the community. Like, I really want to give back to you. I'm like, sweet. Like,
sure. Like, give me some advice. I'm game.
So it's like, I feel like what I get is the people, and that's what I feel like the connections are worth it to me. So one of my main reasons behind why I do it. And I also, people like are just so sweet, and they just really love the fact that they now have a connection to people. So it just means a lot to me personally.
Yeah. I think it sounds like you've created a really great community, which I think is awesome. And even though, you know, it may not make a ton of money, I think like you said, the connections are what make it all worth it, because 100%. It can be a little lonely working at home every day.
Yeah. I agree. And I realized, and we were saying this before we started the episode, but I've become sort of more extroverted just because growing up, I never had that really good group of friends.
Yep.
Now that I'm an adult and I'm out of college, I can choose who my friends are. And a lot of them don't live in Minnesota, but a lot of them do, and they are in the creative world. They might be 10 years older than me, but we have that connection through the online entrepreneur world. And I feel like I can connect with them on a deeper level than I could with like people my age in high school that had nothing in common with me just because we happened to live in the same city and we went to the same school. That's the only connection we had. And that's why I just don't really keep in touch with a lot of people from high school.
Right. Same here.
I just am like, I'm such a different type of person. And so it's kind of fun to find those people online. Like you, like I would have never met you.
Yeah.
if but I think we're very similar in terms of like what we like to do. So I think it's cool that you can connect with those like individuals throughout the country that are similar to you in those ways.
Yeah. It's super fun. It's crazy how like the friends that I've made and just how it all it wasn't like, here, I'm going to go on Instagram today and find a new friend and then message them and say, be my friend. Yeah. Like, it's just kind of, like that looks like a cool Instagram, or they comment in a Facebook group, and it just kind of slowly evolves. And I just think it's really cool, like how the online business world and how people become friends or business partners just because of an Instagram post or of, something that's said in a Facebook group or whatever. So it's just really cool. I think. I always think about that.
Yeah. I have a small group of like online friends, and we all met in a Twitter chat like 2 years ago.
Yep. I've made friends that way too.
Yeah. And so now we all have this small, we're called the Creative Clique. It's kind of weird.
I love it.
But there's like 6 of us, and we have a Facebook group. So anytime any of us have any issues, we just kind of post in there and we get feedback. We're all about the same age, and we all have kind of similar in our business. Like we're both a few years into our business, so we all just kind of have that in common. So it's just cool to have that connection with people in a smaller level versus like just a huge 10,000 person Facebook group.
Right.
It's overwhelming.
Definitely. So what is your favorite part about what you get to do in your business?
I think my favorite part is being creative and coming up with fun. And I'm so much a visual person that it's very important to me the way things look. It's always been important to me. But my biggest issue is I'm not a graphic designer. So I had to come up with a business where I didn't have to be artistically enabled, I guess is the word. But I could still come up with beautiful either images or videos. And so this was like the perfect fit for me. So I love home decor also. And that was a huge part of this business is I had to buy a lot of props to use in my stock photos and going shopping and I love it. Like I love and I need to stop spending so much money because I spent a lot of money in the last 2 years on props and I'm now running out of room for them. So I'm like, okay, I need to stop and really just use the props that I do have. But yeah, that's one of my favorite parts is just trying to find new props and trying to find new figurations of how to make the stock photos as well as the custom photos that I do for people.
Yeah, I can imagine how fun it would be because I love home decor stuff too. And anytime we go to Home Goods or Target, I always walk through the home area and I'm like, oh, look at this. My husband's like, we don't have anywhere to put this boat painting, and we don't have anything boat related in our house. And I'm like, yeah, but the frame is cool and whatever. Or look at this lamp that, it's whatever, it's cool. And he's like, we don't have a place to put a lamp. We already have a lamp. You have a lamp over here. And I'm like, but I can find a place for it. We could replace it. He's like, no. My big thing is I love shelves and bookcases and storage boxes. Yeah, I for some reason I have this thing with storage thing. So the storage or what is it called? I just forgot the name of that store. The Container Store. Yes.
That's my favorite.
I cannot let myself go in there too often. I remember the first time that I went in there a few years ago and I was like, I want to buy one of everything. So what is your big why in your business? What drives you?
Oh, geez. There's so many. I think for me, I love helping fellow female entrepreneurs come up with beautiful images for their business. When I first started my stock shop, about 6 months in, I started my custom shop and I started doing a lot with Etsy sellers. And that was my biggest market. I did a lot of custom banners because back in 2016, Etsy changed the sizing of their banners. So they made them a lot bigger. So everyone needed new banners, everyone. So it was a gold mine because I had so many people coming to me wanting custom styled stock banners. And for months, that was all I did. I just did custom banners. It's kind of gone down a little bit just because everyone has now gotten their banners. But I loved being able to use my props and what I own as well as people did send me their stuff too. So I kind of photographed what they were selling in their business. And so being able to help people attract their core audience and their target audience is really, it just shows me that it's cool that I could help them with that because I'm in the same spot where I am a small business female entrepreneur. And so I understand where they're coming from, especially also in doing video too. A lot of people, they don't know a lot about video. And so I'm just kind of I get it. I'm a female entrepreneur too, so I can help you with that. I know kind of a lot of different information. I just have a lot of random information that I've collected over the years. So it's hard because I'm I don't even know what people want to know. And also what I'm willing to share because a lot of this, I'm should I turn this into a course? And that is one thing that I'm hoping to do is launch a course soon.
That's awesome.
It's on my horizon.
Love that. So if you could go back to your first week or your first month of business and give yourself a piece of advice, what would you say?
I think in the general scheme of things, I wish I had started my blog sooner.
Yeah.
I wish I had started blogging in college because I started the week after I graduated.
Oh,
and
nice.
I think I spent a lot of time in college not doing anything. And so if I had started in college, I think I would have graduated at a much further place than I was. And so I think I could have started things a lot sooner because I started my business about a year and a half after I graduated from college. So if I had maybe, moved things up, I could have started it even sooner. And so then I would maybe even be at a further place now. So that's, but you can't, that's the thing about looking back and seeing you could have done something differently. I think I've learned a lot of lessons and I think I need to learn those. So I honestly don't think I would change a lot. I would maybe also change the way I was thinking about my business. And when I was in college, I didn't think I was going to have a business. That was not on my radar at all. I did not think I was going to have a business. I thought I was going to try to find a job right out of college. That ended up not really happening for me. I struggled because my major was so broad that it was hard. I didn't specialize in anything really. And so I also kind of changed what I wanted to do while in college. So like, crap, all my internships are in stuff that I now don't want to do anymore. So it was kind of, there was a lot of learning lessons. And I know being an entrepreneur and being a small business owner, that's what it is.
It's a lot of lessons. It's like a continuous school. You're like, I graduated college.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep learning. I'm just going to keep learning.
I'm still learning to this day. And I keep learning. And I think that's, you're never perfect and you're never like, there's no one that's great at everything. That's also something that I've learned, and that it is almost good to specialize in something because then people know you for that. That was another thing. I was like, I could do everything. I know all these different things, but now if I'm in a Facebook group and someone needs custom stock photos, I'm the person that they tag. I'm not just a general coach or whatever. I personally think that having that unique factor is really important for
absolutely.
Because then, like, for example, like I could be like, oh, well, Jess has a podcast. Like if someone's looking for like a podcast to listen to, I could be like, oh, well, she does design, but she also has a podcast too. Yeah. And I think that having those unique things about you is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. It helps you be more memorable. Like you said, like people think of you instead of like, oh, like I can do these 5 things. Like when I go to some websites of like early entrepreneurs and they're like, I can do this and this. And I'm like, wait a minute. You offer web design, but you also offer writing, and you're also a VA, and I'm like, I'm confused. What are you doing here? Like, I'm totally in that same boat where I know a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like
I could teach these.
I could teach you how to use Instagram or teach you like how to start using social media or whatever. But like, which sometimes like I do little blogs and stuff, but it's not what I'm offering, exactly. And so and I still struggle sometimes with like, oh, like I know this and I could really help people, but I'm like, it's not what you want to be known for. Like, don't put this out there if that's not what you want somebody to know you for. Which is, I know like a lot of people who call themselves like infopreneurs, and so they just put out like a ton of courses and blogs and stuff, which is great, but then it's hard unless you like have a really awesome like launch of a specific course or whatever. Then it's like, oh, like, well, yeah, she might have a course on that, like, whereas if you're someone who has like a Facebook ads course and you're a social media person, like, oh, that's someone. Whereas someone who has like a huge variety of courses and products and workbooks, and I'm like, you could check her website. She might have that. Like, I don't know, because it's like, it's hard to remember what you teach if you teach this wide gamut of things.
Well, I'm not a big fan. I hate to say it, I'm not a big fan of people who their courses are only available for a limited time, just because it's like, well, then when does it open again? Like, I want to buy it now. And
like, I don't want to be,
I don't know. I know the idea of the scarcity principle. Where it's only there for a specific time and then it's gone. But I'm like, what if I just want to take the course and I'll pay the money? Like, I just don't want to have to wait like 3 months when I need it now. Yeah. I'm never going to be that person where it's like, this course is only available for 2 months and then I'm going away for 6 months and then you have to wait. I want to have it available all the time. I'm like, I put that much work into making it. I don't want to like take it away right away. Like that doesn't make sense to me. I know it works for some people. I just personally, I get kind of annoyed when I go to their website thinking, oh, I can take their course. I've heard about it. It's not there.
Yeah, I like you. I totally get why they do it, and like I've heard all the back and forth on it, and like totally understand. But then it's also, I feel bad like when I'm in Facebook groups and someone's, the owner is like launching a course and people are like, I get paid on Saturday. I know registration closes on Friday though. And people are like, oh, sorry. Like when it closes, it closes. And I'm like,
they're giving up money. So it's like,
I know. I'm like, apparently like whatever. So, but I'm like you, I would just, cause what if someone just happens to finally see me for the first time?
Exactly.
And then it's like, oh, her course just closed.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I'm gonna go to someone else.
Yeah.
Then
a competitor maybe.
Yeah, like a competitor or whatever. And then I lost a sale, and now, who knows if they like completely just, oh, I forgot about her, I don't read her blog anymore, or if it's just like, oh, I'll still follow her but take this other person's course, whatever. So it's like, which I guess some people would argue then we have a scarcity mindset of like losing clients or whatever. But I'm with you. I think it's weird. I don't love the whole
I'd rather go to a website and just have a buffet of courses available, and I'm like, I could just click it, like that. To me it's more appeal than being like, here's like this, like I got an email I don't remember who it was from today, but they're like, it's closing, and then like 2 hours later, like last chance to book. I'm like, I'm not gonna buy this. Like I don't
sorry, you lost me.
I mean, I'm not really easily persuaded by email marketing.
Me either.
It's not something I really enjoy reading, and it's not something I really enjoy doing. And the only people that I buy courses from are the people that I feel like I really trust.
Yes.
That are reasonably priced, and that like I really like Think Creative Collective's courses. I don't know if you've taken any of them, but they're super easy to follow, and they're reasonably priced. They're always on their website. And I just love that about them, is that it's just so easy to find. It's like they have them all out there, and they have all the different options, and it's very specific to different things. The one I took, like Trello for Business, is probably one of their most famous courses. It's $30. I'm like, I spent maybe a day on it, and it was amazing. And that's kind of what I want to model my eventual course on, is I want it to be easy to understand and easy to follow. And I don't have to jump through all these hoops to take the course. And I want affordable. So, because I mean, that's the thing about stock photos, is you have to kind of price it so that people will buy them. And I kind of followed what other people have done. I charge $10 per photo. But one thing I've decided I might start doing is doing more packs of photos, where I do like a 10 pack of photos for $40. So it's save some money. But in the long run, I will make a little bit more money. But it's a dispensable thing. So I don't need to keep making new products because it's a stock photo. I can make as I need to. So that's something I've considered doing. There's so many different routes to take.
There are.
Passive income in general. And that's something that I wish I could have my whole business be passive income. That would be amazing.
Yes, that would be. Totally. So speaking of changing things, if you were going to start your business completely fresh tomorrow, what would you do differently?
I'm trying to think. Well, I wouldn't have started my blog on a free website. When I started my blog in 2014, I started on WordPress.com, and I had no idea there was a difference between WordPress.com and WordPress.org.
Yeah.
No idea. I knew nothing about WordPress. It took me so long to figure out that there was a difference. Like it took me probably 6 months. And then I was like, why can't I use this plugin? Like I saw this plugin online.
I understand.
Why doesn't it work for my website? And then finally and then now I actually use Squarespace. So it's totally different. But I think there's certain things that I wish I had just figured out sooner. And that's probably what I would have changed. I would have, I would have just done a few different things differently. And, otherwise, I think where I am is good for me. And again, I don't really like to regret too much about the past. I think I've learned a lot of things. But there's just definitely some things where I was like, oh, I should have bought that sooner. I think that's usually my biggest thing, is I wasted a lot of time trying to figure something out when I could have bought this object. Or, for example, one thing that I bought, which I should have bought a long time ago, was a tripod that can shoot overhead. It was like $150, and I spent the first year of my business standing on a ladder my camera, like shooting like overhead flat lays, and it was like so much work having to climb up and down these steps every day, and then they weren't as steady because I didn't have a tripod. And so when I invested in this tripod, it was the best thing I could have done for my business because it was so easy. I just kept it there all the time. I never moved it. And my camera is literally sitting there all the time. I never take it off. So I just walk over and restyle what I'm doing, and then the camera's there.
There you go.
It was, and compared to other investments I've done, $150 was not that much. And so I'm like, worth it for my business. And yeah, so I think just those obvious things that I wish I had just was like, why didn't I do that earlier? You know?
Yeah, that's funny. When going back to the WordPress thing, back before I learned web design and all that kind of stuff, I remember somehow landing on like WordPress.org, and it's not like really, the wording is not really like tailored to beginners or like normal people, like non-web designers. And so at the time I was not, and I just remember thinking like, I have to buy a server to put like a physical server, like box thing, and put it in my office, and then like build. And I was like, no, like I can't do it. And because it was so confusing to me. And so that's when I went to Squarespace.
I was also confused about that server thing. I did not know.
I'm like, why don't you just say you need a host? Like, I wish they could just kind of update and simplify their homepage, or like have a button for like, I'm not a web designer, explain this in English. And then it like simplifies. It's like step by step. Hey, which I mean, now there are tons, like millions of tutorials on setting it up and what this is and what that is. But yeah, I just remember being like, wait, I have to like buy this server thing? Like, I don't understand. And I remember it was like, download WordPress. Yeah,
that's what I thought it was.
And I was like, cool. So I downloaded it, and then I was like, what? I don't know. What is this? Yeah. I don't understand.
I think that's what scares a lot of people when they first start. Once you figure out the basics of WordPress, it's really not that hard. I think that's what I learned. But what that was the nice thing about using WordPress.com was it was easy enough for me to understand that when I finally figured it out, WordPress.org was way easier because I was used to the editing system. It's the same as WordPress.org, except there's a lot less functionality, obviously no plugins and all that stuff. So I did have to learn how to add plugins, but it's literally so easy. You just search it and you click like install, and that's it. And so I think when people think about that, it's a little more overwhelming than it actually is once you really dig into it.
Yeah, totally. It's funny. But it's just like one of those things. I mean, WordPress or just, I mean, there's a ton of things out there that entrepreneurs are like, wait, what? Like there's there's an easier way to do this, or like, that's what that's used for. But it's like, you don't know what you don't know. So, but the nice part about, I feel like, this online business world is people blogging and doing video tutorials. Like now it's super easy. You have a question, like put it either in Google or Facebook group, and there's probably a tutorial for it, or course, or someone who can teach you. Like, I can't even think of something that somebody would be like, how do you do this? And there would not be an answer or someone to help. Or
that's what I found too. Like when I first started using Google Analytics, that was one that was kind of confusing for me. Like I know how to use it, and I use the basics of it. I don't use a lot of the tracking pixels. Like I don't use a lot of that. One thing that I still haven't figured out is Facebook ads. I've never used them, and I would love to know how to use them. I just don't really know how to target. I'm trying to figure out like even like landing pages. Something Lead Pages is actually local to us in Minneapolis, and so I've just tried to figure out like anything like that. Is sales funnels stuff I don't know, you know. And I feel like that I feel like I've conquered a lot of the online marketing and online social media and all that stuff, but there's still certain aspects that I've not really dug into, and those are, you know, advertising and sales. That's the stuff I still have to do, and I haven't had the time to really look into.
Yep, totally get it. And that's like the hard part about being a business owner, is like having all the different hats to wear. And then it's like, well, can I afford to outsource this? Or do I have time to learn it? Like take a course. Can I even afford the course? Like, and it's just this juggling act of like, do I outsource it and pay for it? Or do I learn and pay for it? or do I just like not do it? Or, it's like there's this whole juggling act of like, what's a priority for me right now? Like, what do I really want to focus on? Is it Facebook ads? Like, is that a big goal of mine? Or like, maybe next year.
I'm so cheap, and that's
too.
That's an issue. And I try to do everything myself, and it does take a lot of my time, but then I learn it too, which is nice. So then I don't have to outsource it and then not know how to do it. And so I have to rely on other people. This way I can actually do it if I need to, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess there's different types of people that like to outsource. I'm just not one. I also can't quite afford it yet to outsource things, but I would love to outsource certain like bookkeeping and stuff.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
That'd be amazing. I would love that.
Absolutely. So what are you working on for the rest of 2017?
Okay. So I'm actually launching something very exciting, and it's something I've been considering for a while, and it's actually doing video flat lays.
Ooh.
So I've been doing a lot of video editing, but what I realized I really love doing is creating the videos myself. And so what I'm going to have people do is, if they're a product-based business, they can send me their products and I can make a video for them, basically similar to stock photos where it's like an overlay.
Right.
But where it moves around, kind of like a stop motion film, where it's like you can like have your things moving around and there can be graphics and text coming up. And I think this is such a good way to share on social media. If you do have a product, it's hard sometimes to show it off in photos.
Right. Yeah.
But so that's kind of what I'm going to be focusing on now. So I have a few people that I'm just going to be doing some beta testing and trying some new things and seeing how it goes. And I'm really excited to offer that to a lot of product-based businesses.
That sounds super cool and unique. Like I haven't heard of someone. And like you said, like sometimes, just a picture does not do it justice, or it's like, wait, how does how do I open it or like wear it or use it,
Exactly.
And so I think that'll be really cool.
There's so many types of businesses it can work for. My biggest thing that right now I'm like, subscription boxes, because you want to see what's in them. You can't sort of show it in a photo, but having it like maybe opened up, or
I can totally see like a little mini like unboxing, like stop motion. And then, oh my gosh, I can totally picture that.
I know. And so I have all the equipment and I do video and I do like flat lays. So it makes perfect sense for me to mix those two. And that way I can have more of a creative freedom too, which video editing doesn't always allow me a lot of creative control, because I'm basically doing what they want. But if they come to me being like, make something really fun for my business, I'm like, yes, this is what I get to be creative. And so that's definitely something. Obviously, I'm going to also be working on, of course, actually on video editing, hopefully.
Nice.
So that'll be fun. And then also, I, again, want to launch my own podcast for my business, which I might not do right away because I'm trying to get these other two things off the ground. But that's kind of a long-term goal, since I realize I love podcasting. I do locally, and I would love to expand that beyond and maybe talk about photo and video in the podcast. So kind of have more of a focus on how you can use photography and video to grow your business, and then not just talk to people, but also just do individual episodes where I share about some tips and such stuff. And honestly, I don't really like writing. It's not something I love doing at all. So blogging for me is I hate to say, a little bit of a chore. And so if I could come up with other ways of content like YouTube and podcasting, I think and I think you've probably done that too a little bit, because you have so many mediums that people can find you on. I think that for me is very helpful. And I know that you have been very successful in growing your business because of those ways.
Yeah. People, like I always tell people, we talk about diversifying your income. And I feel like this past year and a half or so has been like diversifying my content. Like not like in terms of what I talk about, but like I have blog, podcast, and video. And so depending on, because some people are like, well, I don't like video. Well, I don't like podcasts. And I'm like, well, you can either like you can, like pick which one you like, or if you like all three, then there you go. You get all three.
I think that just trying something new is important. If you haven't maybe been like, I think maybe being on a podcast first to see if you like being interviewed is a good way. Because for me, I actually launched my podcast without ever being a guest on a podcast. So
Same here.
I was just like, okay, no one's asking me to be a guest on a podcast, so I'm just going to launch my
That's
own.
literally why I started this one.
And so now it's like cool that I am being a guest on a podcast, but I think that I have found it's the easiest way to build that bond with your audience, because if I listen to someone on a podcast, I view them much higher than I would if they weren't on the podcast, because they come across as an expert, especially if they have a podcast. I am looking at them as an expert because they know what they're talking about. And I would hire them over someone who did not have a podcast any day of the week, because they've proven to me that they know their stuff. They know how to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I trust them more. And I feel like that might be one of the reasons that I want to start a podcast, is because I want people to know who I am on a more deeper basis, because I don't think I come across in my blog posts as I'm not as good of a writer. So I don't think that I can connect with my audience as well in writing versus talking or being on video. I think I come across more of who I really am.
Right. Yeah. And they get to actually like see you and connect. Like, it's totally different to read versus like actually watch or listen to somebody. And there's like that emotional connection. You can, you know, either hear the sarcasm in their voice or like hear them laugh. Whereas, you know, when people type ha ha, sometimes I'm like, are they like ha ha, or are they like actually laughing, you know? So that's I totally agree that sometimes it's just easier to connect with and relate to people on video or podcasts.
And I think that you should try it. Like, the people listening to this, I think that it's something that a lot of people are scared to do. They don't like listening to themselves. They don't like seeing themselves on video. But honestly, I didn't really either at first, but I got into it, and now I love it because I don't know. It's I can actually see myself, and then also I've heard this from other people that over time, their vision of who they are and who they actually see themselves on camera, it becomes the same after a while. Yeah. And so it also helps you kind of develop who you are as a person. And it also helps with just self-confidence, I think.
And it's
out there.
One of my favorite video people, Sunny Lenarduzzi, she's said several months ago that the reason so many people don't like themselves on video is because you're not used to listening to yourself or looking at yourself. Like, you look at yourself in the mirror and that's about it, you know? So you're not used to it. So that's why you don't like it. It's kind of like when you try new food. Sometimes you don't like it because you just haven't acquired the taste. So I always tell people, like, give yourself time to like get used to being on video and, you know, getting better at video. It's not going to like happen unless you have some like background in acting or journalism or something. Like, it's probably not going to be this like easy right off the bat thing. It's going to take time for you to really enjoy it and get used to it. So
I think even using acting techniques is a good way. Just think of yourself as a character, and you're not even yourself, you know, like, just take it till you make it. And I think that it's such a good medium to try, and YouTube is still such a huge platform.
Oh yes.
No matter what's happening with I don't know if I know this podcast will be in a few months, but right now there's having some ad issues. People aren't making enough money. The YouTubers that I watch, at least, they're all complaining about it. But YouTube isn't going anywhere. And so I think it's a platform that you should definitely try out, and it's a really great way to add content to your business. So.
Yep, absolutely. So where can we connect with you online to keep up with all this new stuff?
Okay, so my handles, it's at Jenna Redfield Designs for Instagram, Facebook, my website, jennaredfielddesigns.com, and then my Twitter, I believe, is just at Jenna Redfield. I'm trying to think of, and Pinterest is at, I think my Pinterest is also Jenna Redfield, I think. I need to like have them all be. Because I think on Twitter, the hard part for me was like, I wanted to be myself on Twitter versus on Instagram, I wanted it to be my business. So I don't know. Maybe I'll change it to Jenna Redfield Designs on Twitter someday. But yeah, so it's basically, if you type in Jenna Redfield, you'll find
you should find it.
I'm pretty sure I'm the only one out there, which is nice.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today.